A sad golf lover UK here today. England have just lost 2-1 to Spain. Spain with a better team. This is not a football podcast or a soccer podcast for my partner in crime, but I just thought I'd let you all know exactly where we are. It is 22-14 on Sunday. England have just lost. I can feel the Scots are celebrating double. They're celebrating about Bobby McIntyre, and they're celebrating England's loss. The Spanish are going.
Oh, it's a great day for Spain.
Spain and Scotland. España. Spain and Scotland having a great day.
I know.
The Scottish love it when we lose.
I mean, Alcaraz winning Wimbledon was another one for
tennis,
Spain.
Not a real sport, is it?
Fireball. Well, I mean, look, it is a big global sport. So, no, but it's Sergio was actually talk about in his presser after how, I mean, Spain winning Euro Cup, Fireball's winning, Sergio winning, and Alcaraz all winning on the same day. Like, that's pretty much unprecedented. So shout out to that. Shout out to Spain. I mean, I'm probably not going to be rooting for the U.S. in the Olympics when it comes to golf. I'm probably going to be rooting for Spain. So that's what they have turned me to. That's what the golf establishment here in the U.S. has turned me to.
Oh, someone's put 50p in him. Someone's put a quarter in, as you would say. So, right, that's it.
I'll save it. I'll save it for later, but
no, the U.S. golf save it for next week when we do Troon, and then you can have a moan about the golf establishment then. Because it's our first podcast back in a month. We're 1 minute 52 in. It'll be actually quicker than that. And you've already gone on the golf establishment. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Golf Lover UK. This is Pro Golf Critic. We are the Golf Lovers United podcast, and we have been away for the best part of a month. Let's explain our absence. Quite simply, sadly, my father's very ill. And to the point where he won't be with us much longer. So I've been dealing with a lot of stuff around that, and I appreciate the kind words from those that did know more and have reached out. So yeah, it's not a great situation. We all lose people. I don't need a bucket load of sympathy. Christ, we all go through crap in life. But yeah, that's one of the things. Also, I'm very, very busy at work. The amount of times you message me now, Jay, and I'm in London rather than in my office in Bristol. But look, it's all good, and work's great. Father's very poorly. That isn't good, but that's why I've not been about. Jay, you've switched roles and been busy, and with me not being around and Mark not being around, you didn't want to just be on your own the whole time.
Well, I do have a couple solo things planned just in case, like, we need to take another break. However, I am glad that you're back. Obviously a lot going on just in our own personal lives, but there are a lot of positive things too. So I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going on. We're officially going to be at JCB in a couple of weeks. So yeah, looking forward to that. And I mean, look, life happens. Obviously, everything here going on in the United States with the sort of drama over the last 24 hours with former President Trump. There's just a lot of stuff going on throughout the world, and I think the important thing is we just have to, continue to press on and do our best, and try to take the baton and run.
We love what we do, and how do I put it nicely? I don't give a shit as much about Twitter as I used to because of the nastiness and vileness on there. And I've mentioned this to you and to Red and a few others. Some of the basement dwellers on Twitter that want to just say nasty. I don't mind if you don't agree with me. And there'll be a person who we know he is on YouTube. He won't disagree with us. He'll say cruel things. He'll take the mick out of us. He'll be rude. There's no need for it. You'll see him. He's in the comments. And I don't understand.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know why people can't just. You don't have to agree with what we say, but there's no need to be nasty or cruel. So a few people have actually reached out recently saying, "Why am I not on Twitter as much anymore? Why am I not?" Because I don't want to be talking to absolute assholes who aren't kind, and that's the truth of it. And yeah, they have won. I'm not on there as much as I used to be. because I just can't be dealing with all negativity all the time.
No,
It's
it's fair.
just it's a vile place, but I don't want to go on about it too much.
Well,
but it's just
don't.
vile.
I think that's a valid point. However, it's also, that coupled with everything going on in sort of Europe background is definitely leading to that. Me, on the other hand, like I probably leaned into it more because honestly, I'm just having fun. I think the most important thing with like social media and Twitter at this point is that like we're winning, so like the LIV fans and sort of LIV golf in general is winning so much. Like I'm just having fun with like all of these people, all these PJ Tour stands and shills and all that, just like completely falling over themselves whenever anything negative happens with the PJ Tour or like positive things happen with LIV. Seeing them try to twist it to make it seem otherwise is actually really, really entertaining.
But
That's part of the reason why I'm on there.
Isn't that part of what I'm trying to say? Like, just like what you like. There's no need. I've made this analogy, and guys who are listening and girls listening to podcasts, I will get into podcasts in a second, and I'll finish on this, and I'll die on this. I'll die on this hill. I don't like coffee. Can't stand it. Rancid, vile stuff. You will never find me go on to someone who writes a nice post about coffee and go, "Oh, you're a dickhead because you like coffee." Like, if you don't like something, you don't have to like it. Doesn't mean you have to constantly tell people they're wrong for liking it. If you don't like LIV or you don't like the PGA Tour, that's fine. Like, I still get people criticizing me for saying nice things about the PGA Tour. Look at the fucking name, Golf Lover UK. I like golf. I really enjoy the LIV product. Stop being negative and stop being nasty. Everyone just be kinder.
I can't help but be negative. As you already know, as we've talked about many times, I can't help but be negative about the PGA Tour for all of the things that I know that are not public information that will come out in time for sure.
Yeah,
and I might be one.
I don't mind
getting some of this out.
Yeah. I don't mind people being negative for a point. Like, so if you want to say, I don't like this that's happening, that's fair enough. But it's when someone just goes into someone else's thread and just goes, like the other month, I wrote something nice about Bryson. Someone wrote, "I can't stand Bryson because he played golf with Trump." I don't care. I don't care. Like, I just don't give a shit.
That might be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Like, I mean,
that's not about politics. That's not about politics. Like, it was nothing to do with my tweet. There's nothing to do with it. And people just have to spout their bile everywhere. Right, anyway, let's get on to it.
But I think really quick before we move on, I think that the derangement syndrome that's been going on specifically in golf for 2 years, this is basically what we've been talking about. And keep in mind, the PGA Tour leadership has not said a single word about, we need to calm down with the vitriol. Like, they have created this environment, they have fostered this environment, and they haven't done a GD thing to fix it. So I want everybody out there to remember that. This is something that I put completely at the feet of Jay Monahan and the leadership of the PGA Tour. I'll leave it at that.
Right. Okay. I also don't disagree. Now, I'm going to start off with, I don't want to, we'll talk about LIV because it's a fantastic event. Talk about some of the standings. Talk about the Scottish Open. You got a victory lap that you want to take. I'm just going to say about the PGA Tour leadership creating this. It's still happening. I saw quite a good journalist, Alex Perry. I can't remember his surname. I do apologise. I met Alex at a LIV event. We had a chat for 30 minutes. He used to be at National Club golfer, and now he's at Bunker, I believe. And he did his top 100. He ranked every player going into the Open. He had Bryson ranked at 4th. Yeah, in front of him, he had Scotty, Rory, and Oberg. Now,
oh my god!
This is for me, and I like Alex. It's pandering to the PGA Tour fans and the PGA Tour media. There is no 100%. Way on God's earth he thinks that Rory and Oberg are both better than Bryson this year in majors. There's no way. God.
You threw me off with that one. I was not. I was thinking, oh, like maybe you can make a case for like Xander because he's won a major this year, and Scotty obviously because he's number one.
Let me find it. Let me find it real
Okay,
quick.
but
Right.
then like even Rory, like even though like Bryson literally just beat Rory at the biggest event of the year so far. Like I mean,
So I found it's Alex Perry, good journalist. I like him. He's a nice bloke. I met him, spent time with him, chatted to him. Seems like a lovely guy. Used to be the editor at National Club Golfer. He's now at Bunkered. And where did he have Bryson? Double checking. In the best player going into the Open, he had Scotty. Then he had Rory. Then he had Oberg.
Okay.
Then he had Bryson.
Okay.
Then he had Morikawa. Then he had Xander. So, like, Xander's in sixth. So Xander's also behind Rory, who he's hosed this year in majors, and Oberg.
How is Xander behind Aberg too? Like, love it. Like that makes no sense to me.
Anyway,
I will say, no laying up had a similar thing where they ranked all the players, and I think Solly had Bryson fifth or sixth or something like that. So I mean, there's all sorts of craziness going.
That's still on your point of the PGA Tour have created this, and they're pandering desperately to stay in with the PGA Tour, hoping that the PGA Tour will, for people on the listen on the podcast, speech marks, win. There is no winner. Everybody's losing. Right. Let's go in to LIV Valderrama. I have to now put Valderrama in my top 5 course in the world I've not played that I want to. I'm not saying it's the top 20 best, because obviously you've got Pine Valley and whatever else, and Cypress Point, and I'm not saying it's that. I mean, I want to play. Like, Tobacco Road's in my top 5 I want to play. It just looks amazing. I think Tobacco Road, to me, I know it's in the top 100. I know it's in the top 100. I know it's not in the top 10, but for that I want to play that I've not yet played, I've got Valderrama and Tobacco Road in there for sure. But Valderrama just looks incredible.
You can make a case the Valderrama is a better course than Pine Valley, but I'm not going to go into that.
It looks so hard, doesn't it?
It's amazing. Oh my gosh. It's great.
Now, I want to give a huge shout out to a couple of players in particular. Well done, Sergio, for winning. But there's a couple of players I really want to shout out, and I think that they don't probably get enough praise, and why he didn't have the best of rounds today. Eugenio Sakara, to get a 12th place finish is absolutely superb. And also, I want to give a big shout out to Leash, who got a tied 10th. Now, Leash had the lowest round of the week. He tied lowest round of the week yesterday with a 5 under. A 5 under round there is unbelievable, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, there were very few players that had. I think 5 under might have been the lowest round. Oh no, Peter Uline did shoot 65 today, kind of just completely out of nowhere, because Uline really struggled, like basically the entire tournament. And he actually went 6 under 65 today and shot up.
So he had 6 under,
yeah. But he's the only one. Everyone else, I think -5 was the lowest. Other than that, like Leishman shot 66. Obviously, Sergio shot 66 today. Honorbon shot 66 yesterday. I want to say, I think that Dean Burns, Dean Burns, aka Dean the Machine. He wants to be called Dean the Machine. So this is his word. So I'm, for now, dropping Clean Dean, even though I really like Clean Dean. I'm going Dean the Machine. So just FYI. But yeah, he shot 66.
But some fantastic golf right there. And also, needs to be recognised, Lee Westwood, another great round. That's a top 7 followed by a top 12. Fantastic work from Lee Westwood. Really sort of turning things back around. So
yes. Some of these guys are creeping up the standings. It's really good to see. So yeah, it's good.
And also Tyrrell Hatton with a really quiet, gentle, unbelievable 3rd place finish. And the other person that hasn't had the best of seasons in many ways, great to see P. Reed back at it.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it was a lot of people have been hating on Patrick Reed, especially lately. And I keep telling people that, like, I see it coming. Like, he's been playing well, like, even on the European Tour, like, he's played pretty well in the couple European Tour events that he's played in. And he's slowly but surely creeping up the standings. Like, he's now inside of the top 18. And he was like 40th, like, a couple months ago. So, like, he is, like, steadily climbing, where I think we're going to see the best of Patrick Reed towards the end of the season, which we're starting to see now. So it's good to see.
And Danny Lee, another top 10 finish. He's showing that he obviously did deal with an injury. He's come back. He's started to play a bit better. But look, a couple of surprise. Of course, Blandy managed to get another top 20 finish, tied 14th.
Yep.
Paul Casey looked all at the races, didn't he? Day one and day two, day one and day three. It was a weird round for Paul. In the same way that it was a weird round for Lean Dean, because it was 5 under, then 4 over. But the course has just been so tough, hasn't it, Jay? It's just been so incredibly tough.
For sure. And even Dean said day one, he basically made every putt that he looked at. So it's like, that's what you need to do at Valderrama to shoot a good round. Like Honorbahn had that yesterday. Like some rounds you just get into a zone and you make every putt. However, that's something that's not necessarily sustainable. So that's something I'm always looking at. Like when I look at some of these really low rounds, like what are their putting stats look like? What are they saying after the round? And those guys were like, "Oh yeah, I made everything." And it's like, all right, well that might bode well one day, but the next day it could totally flip. So, in a place like Valderrama, all it takes is just being a slightest fraction off. And you can shoot a really, really big number. Anthony Kim found that out today.
I was literally about to say, should we do AK? Because actually, after day one and day two, AK was looking superb. Was in
to get points finally.
And he was tied 9th after 2 days. Someone's going to tell me I'm wrong. I think he was tied 9th after 2 days.
Sounds right. He was definitely inside the top 15, but
and shot an 11 over.
Yeah. Yeah. It just goes to show you this is one of those courses that like one bad round is like all you have to do is not be on that one round and your score could just go completely sideways. And honestly, we need more courses like this in professional golf because I loved it. I thought that this was amazing to watch. I love seeing golfers struggle sometimes too, just because they make the game look so easy. It's really good occasionally to have a really, really stern test like a Pinehurst, like Valderrama.
And do you know who you should be putting all your money on for the Open?
There's a few. I mean, Terrell Hatton is looking really good. I mean, John Rahm.
There's one person.
Who do you got?
Who has gone from the bottom 10% of drivers on LIV to top 10% and basically didn't miss fairways all day? Cam Smith. If Cam Smith 3 under finished in fifth or sixth, finishing
sixth
place.
Yeah.
Sixth place.
Tied 6th.
With his driver working, let's get that bet on right now. So where are we?
Well, here's the thing. I actually mentioned this on our Twitter Spaces earlier this week. Shout out to Red Harrington for co-hosting with me there. Cam Smith, I worry a little bit about. There's like a handful of players that I worry about in the Open if the conditions aren't good. And it seems like Royal Troon this year, we're going to get rain, we're going to get wind, we're going to get all that stuff.
Good.
I feel like with guys like Cam Smith, like every tournament that he's won has been like pretty good weather. Rory's another one. Rory is not a mutter. It's something that we've talked about plenty of times. Like he usually wins when the conditions are like easier.
So who okay then? Let's flip that on its head rather than so we never get accused of being negative. Who do you see as a better player because of the weather? Who do you think the shit hitting the fan suits?
Yeah, it's a good question. And sometimes, especially with the Open, it all comes down to your draw. Like it comes down to who's getting a better weather draw. Like we saw this at Troon 8 years ago. Henrik Stenson and Phil Mickelson got the good side of the draw. I remember this very well that Friday. They finished their rounds and they were high up on the leaderboard right when the bad weather hit. Everybody that teed off after them struggled. And that started to sort of separate them from the rest of the field. So there is a little bit of luck involved. except if we are looking at players that I think play in like conditions that are not ideal. I think Terrell Hatton's one. Like, I think Terrell Hatton, like, he doesn't care like what kind of conditions. It's not, even though he does blow up on the golf course. I don't think the conditions are something that like gets in his head. I think he's already enough in his head that like a little bit of conditions aren't gonna like change his like demeanor that much. And then someone like, I mean, someone that's not in it, Patrick Reed. Unfortunately, Patrick Reed's not in the Open, which is just a complete travesty. And then like I could see John Rahm playing really well. I think Rahm in the Open last year, at Hoylake, the conditions weren't good. Like, they were mostly bad most of the days he was out there, especially on the weekend, and he played really well. I think he finished top 5. I think he actually finished tied second. So yeah, Rahm I think is one that, like, if I had to put money on one person, I think John Rahm kind of has a lot to prove, especially in the majors. He's heard a lot of this negativity from the corrupt golf media, from everybody that's like a PJ Tour stan. I think John Rahm, again, this is all dependent on draw and weather and all that. I like John Rahm, though.
Do you know he's a sneaky outsider for me for the Open, and you're going to think I'm absolutely mental. Who's come in to LIV in the last 2 events, played really well as an emergent as a reserve player, played great
John
today,
Catlin?
shot 2 under today. He's going.
He is in there.
Distance ain't going to be a big thing. Tell me. Name me 10 players in the world better now hitting a 5-wood, 3-wood, and a 5-wood. He just laces that thing straight down the middle.
Yeah, Taylor Gooch does too, and he's not in it too. But that's kind of another story.
Yeah, well, we can only talk about those that are there. But John Catlin is a battler. Right, we'll talk about the Open another day. Anaban Lahiri's a lovely man. I spent time with him. I spent 3.5, 4 hours with Barn. Met him. Oh, hang on. I also met him at LIV London. Spent a bit of time with him there. He is a lovely, lovely human being.
Completely agree.
I'm going to say something now. He didn't concentrate on that last putt. He got over it, looked rushed. The crowd was still loud. There were nerves there. I know sometimes the longer you wait to hit it, it didn't look to me like it was his normal putting stroke. It looked like he was just putting it to get it there. And if I miss, oh well. It didn't look like his normal stroke. Only he will tell the truth. And I will ask him when we see him in 2 weeks' time. I will speak to him and I will say to him, Barn, can we have 5 minutes? Record it, see if we get 5 minutes out of him to chat about it. But yeah, I really like him. He's a really nice person. So I was gutted he didn't win. I'm happy Sergio won for Sergio. That's great for Sergio.
I know, I'm totally conflicted. Totally conflicted.
If Barn didn't win, that's fine. But Barn lost it, and I don't like people to lose it. I like people to win it.
Yes.
Like, if that makes sense. But yeah, what do you think about that putt?
You can also say Sergio kind of lost it on his last hole of the day too, where he 3-putted.
It wasn't a 2-foot putt,
no,
was it?
I mean it was a shorter putt, but yeah, that 2-footer. I mean, look, as someone that's missed plenty of short putts in tournament competitions, like I totally identify with it, and I guess maybe that makes me sort of a little bit more of a defender of these things and not calling them a joke. But I will say, here's the thing about Valderrama: those greens are super lightning, and I said the same about Rory at Pinehurst. Like, I saw somebody on Twitter calling it a 2-foot tap in, and I'm like, there are no such things as tap ins when greens get this fast that have just like a little bit of subtle break to them. And I could see that putt that Bond hit had some break to it. He hit that right edge without the proper speed, and he missed it on the left. So it's like you need to be confident and sort of step up there and sort of knock it in the back of the hole. I think he was very tentative on it. That's the reason why he missed. That's the reason why Rory missed his putt at the Open, at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. Yeah. Like, these things just happen. So except this is what to me is so interesting and fascinating about golf. And I love the sort of physical aspects. Like I love great ball strikers, all that stuff. Almost every single one of these tournaments come down to these little short ones where the mental game plays such a huge role in this. Like I can't stress to people how important the mental game is to golf. And I think most people know this. However, when people start talking about and sort of overhyping other players out there that we'll get to in a minute, it's like you have to think, how do these guys perform at crunch time when it comes to like making these critical putts? Like it's such an important thing. I'm hopeful Honorbon learns from this and is like, all right, the next time I'm going to be more confident. I'm going to knock it in the back of the hole. I'm not going to be tentative, because that's what it looked like to me. So just tentative, and just it was not as easy as a putt as people think.
No. I agree. It wasn't probably as easy as people think. Equally, as you say, and I said at the start, I don't feel like he's set up like he normally would.
Yeah. It's mental.
Very quickly on the team stuff, let's just say, interesting. Look, Majestics having had a 4th place out last time, which was a great result in Tennessee. They were flying. They were flying until today, and then
oh my god. And then today was just it was such a crazy day. Like if you take the last hour of that broadcast, like that was like that's why I watch golf. Like it had everything to it. It had a great golf course. It had great competition.
I was looking at it. It's the Majestics finished start of the day in 4th, finished it in 9th.
Yeah,
and Torquay were 6 under the day, and Majestics are +9 for the day. So effectively swapping places with a 15-shot swing. What an event! What a difficult day out. But smash
and shout out to shout out to the. I don't want to gloss over this. Like I want to shout out the guys that actually won too. Like Fireballs and Sergio. Like I gotta give them full credit.
I was about to come to them because I just wanted to talk about how impressive it was to do on their home course.
All right, I'll let you do your thing.
But it was just, for me, it's the case of the last hour and the last hour and a half. You can see like 6-7 shot swings where you can go from 8th to 3rd and 3rd to 7th. It's incredible. And I know people complain about team golf, and if you want to complain about it, great. Really, just don't give a toss. If you don't like it, just don't watch it. Don't listen to our podcast, and don't criticize our podcast for liking it. Odd behavior. Again, I don't listen to coffee podcasts. Go away. But we should really focus on those that won. And the Crushers to come second, fantastic in many ways. They did really well. And Barnes going to be hurting. We know Barnes will be hurting. But the Fireballs, they had an absolute incredible, and big shout out to Eugenio Shikara, because Eugenio Shikara really did pull that team along in round 1. He's the reason they're -5.
I mean, it was a team effort, though. It really was.
It was. But each day, one person really stood up. So Eugenio day 1, Sergio day 2. Like they both went low when no one else was going low.
Give Pooch credit. Like Pooch shot 68 yesterday, round 2. Like, I mean, he was great. And I got to give a huge shout out to Abe Answer from today. Abe Answer's last 2 holes were absolute box office. Like
the best club top I've ever seen.
Oh my god! So he makes a double. He chunks his chip.
That's athleticism. That is raw. You can't train that shit. You can't train that.
As a connoisseur of club tossing, because I've done plenty of that in the past, that was the best club toss I've ever seen. So he makes a double bogey. Not only he chunks the chip, he also 3 putts. So he's basically making a double bogey and drops the Fireballs out of the lead for the first time pretty much all day. And the very next hole, he comes up and he chips in for birdie to get them into the playoff. It was unbelievable.
Not only did he chip in for birdie, but that was probably actually saving 2 shots, because that chip could have easily been leaving him a 20-foot putt, 15-foot putt, and then 2 putting for a 5. It wasn't just the fact it was a chip and birdie. It was, I think it actually saved him. I think it probably didn't just save him the one getting the birdie. I think it probably saved him maybe another shot on top of that. It was so valuable, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was incredible. It was one of those things that like, it's another reason why golf is it's such a great sport. Like, I've watched and followed almost every sport. This is the stuff about golf that just like is so exciting to me. This is box office. This is why I watch. This is why I play, for these wild swings. And LIV just has, the way LIV is set up, like, you can have this in the individual, and you can have this in the team. Like, most tournaments, if you have Abe Answer at the very end of a round, like, he's not going to be that into it because he's out of it. Like, he finished 26, but he was fighting so hard for his teammates, for the Fireballs to win this. So him birdieing that last hole, huge shout out to Abe Answer, all the Fireballs. It was just incredible seeing them win, and seeing them win for Sergio too. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen Sergio that happy, even after he won the Masters. Like, he was so happy this event. So shout out to Sergio, shout out to Eugenio, David Puig, Abe Answer, the whole Fireballs. Just a great event. I really loved every minute that I watched.
And so glad to see Sergio get the win. What a lovely bloke he is. He gets a lot of criticism, which is unfair. Anyone who spent 5 minutes with Sergio, he's a funny guy. Like, he runs hot. He's passionate. He's Spanish. It kind of goes with territory, but he's a nice guy, and I'm delighted to see him get that win. And then on Sergio, I think people are maybe sleeping on quite what a good season Sergio's had. Sergio is third. He's not just third. He's quite comfortably third. Well, Hatton's very close by, but after Sergio in 3 and Hatton in 4, there is a gap then to Louis in 5th place. That top 4 has been really good, and Sergio's only 2 points short of second. So Sergio's had a phenomenal year with 2 second places in the first.
He's lost in 2 playoffs. Like, he could very easily have 3 wins this year.
Well, yeah,
and he's very clearly a top 50 player.
And he would be first then, because the one playoff was against Joaquin Niemann. So obviously Joaquin would have lost points with Sergio to gain them. So Sergio would actually probably be in first place. So it's been a fantastic season for Sergio. The fact he's not going to be open is a crying shame. I understand the reasons why. I understand that the OWGR has a corrupt holding over the majors, and that people don't want to stand up to them, and they'd rather have the events watered down. I understand that. It's not the decision I would make. I would want my events to have the best players in them. I wouldn't want to be doing something to make a board of suits happy, whose job it is to rank professional golfers and then don't do it. That wouldn't be my decision.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the players that could be in trouble. On the team stuff, not much to update on the team stuff. Ironheads, High Flyers, Majestics in the bottom 3. Aces haven't had a great season. We discussed that. Range Goats have been hit and miss. They've had 2 podiums and then 3 12ths. They've been all over the shop. Then Smash haven't had the best season. They got off to a hot start, but the last 2 they've been 12th and 13th. And Crushers and Legion Torquay right at the top. But let's talk about the players that are struggling. Now, I just always like to start this with this stat. Everyone listens regularly as I do it. There are still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players ranked lower than Laurie Cantor who only played 2 events.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, there's definitely
some players are really struggling. And Brandon Grace, he's having a dreadful year, isn't he? Kieran Vincent hasn't really hit the ground running. Scott Vincent, his brother, is not. He saved himself at the end of last year, didn't he, in Jeddah with that finish to creep inside and avoid the relegation. But he's going to struggle.
He's going to have to do it again
this year.
Yeah, he's going to have to do it again, and I don't know if he's necessarily going to do it. So, I mean, look, there's got to call out Bubba Watson too. Like, Bubba Watson's the only captain currently in the relegation zone, and like, I love Bubba. Like, I love he's a great guy. We got to see more from Bubba Watson. Like, I mean, he's even gone on record to say if he was not performing, even though obviously his contract goes through next year, he's gone on record to say if he's not performing at an acceptable level going into next season, he may sit it out and bring in somebody to replace him. I think that's something we need to consider at this. point. Like, I mean, he only has 3 more events to sort of get out of the relegation zone. He hasn't really shown much form. Let's be honest. Like since the beginning of the season, like he finished 47th today. Like, I mean, this isn't a great course for him. Let it be known. And some of the other courses, Greenbrier probably sets up a little better. Chicago probably too. But yeah, we need to see some more from Bubba Watson.
But let's focus on how quick that can turn around. So Lee Westwood was actually below Bubba Watson 2 events ago. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Sorry,
No, he's played well.
Sorry, 3 events.
He's up to
3 events ago. 3 events ago, he was below Bubba Watson.
And he's up to the 32nd now. So shout out to Lee Westwood. That's
Lee Westwood's
awesome
now 32nd.
No, he finished 12th.
32nd. Yeah, exactly. And that's how fascinating. And Sam Horsfield was below Lee Westwood.
Ugh.
Sam Horsfield was below Lee Westwood, and he's now in 24th. He's now actually in the locks, which
it's crazy.
Which is unbelievable for Sam Horsfield. And I'm happy for any player that plays really well, but he was absolutely nowhere. We both know Charles. I've not heard from him at all. I'm not sure what's wrong for Charles. The fact no one's saying anything makes me worry. Is it serious? Is it other health issues? I've got no idea at all.
I don't think so.
And no one's replied to any question about it. Have you got any? Has anyone replied at all?
No. So I do know that basically it's been kind of a stress fracture in his lower leg that sort of kept him out. He was very optimistic. This was like over a month ago that he was going to be back for Nashville. Obviously, you missed that. I mean, it seemed like it was a slam dunk that he was going to be back for Valderrama. And now that he hasn't been back now, we're starting to look at this as like, okay, that's 3 events that he's missed. We're talking 6+ weeks at this point. Usually these injuries, they don't last this long. So, and he is a little bit older. So it's definitely something, hopefully at JCB, we'll get some information about exactly what's going on. I just think it's a lingering injury that like he needs to figure out. And he hasn't really dropped that far down the standings yet. Like he's still in 26th. So except I want to see Charles Howell come back 100%. He's even though Catlin's been a great stand-in, like the Crushers need Charles Howell. I think he's a really, really important component of this team. Just for this whole continuity of it, like he's a really important contributor.
Richard Bland in the lock zone. Oh, I just really hope Blandy gets the lock. Matty Wolf still in the lock zone.
Yeah, I think we've confirmed Bland's going to be back next year.
Yeah, we have.
No matter what. So yeah.
And do you want to say it because you've got the information? Do you want to say
it? Which one, about Bland or some?
About Blandy, yeah.
Oh yeah, so I heard this was like a few weeks ago that the Cleeks have picked up Richard Bland for a 2025.
Yeah,
so which I think is great.
Even if he's not in the lock and he goes in the open zone, he's already been picked up. Blandy's back for next year. I didn't know if
he should. Yeah, he's great. We love Blandy.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I do like and simultaneously dislike is how you can get so many points for like a top 2, top 3, top 4 finish that you could have been shit all year and you fly up the leaderboard. I don't know if the points need to be tinkered with a little bit in some way. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm wrong. I don't know how I would tinker with them. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, it is something that I've thought about too, just in terms like thinking about and I won't go too deep into this, but just thinking about OWGR and sort of how that works with limited field events, how they basically give OWGR points to basically the top 85% of the field. I kind of feel like LIV needs to be the same. I think only giving points to the top 24, it does kind of skew things a little bit. I think that anybody in the bottom 15%, 100% shouldn't get any points. However, finishing like 25th or 26th, I actually think you probably should get points because you're beating like almost 30 other players. So I think you should get some sort of consideration for that. And that's kind of a minor tweak. And if you want to sort of match it up to what the OWGR is, I think it makes a lot of sense. Except it's a very nitpicky thing. Like I'm perfectly happy with sort of how things are. It's just kind of one of those things that I kind of look at. I'm like, maybe it would make sense for some of these other guys to get points to just sort of see how it shakes out.
Right. Well, let's finish on the Scottish Open. I'm just going to say I am so happy it was bad weather for a day. I like the Scottish Open. Not Renaissance looks like a lovely course. I think they could play other places. I think it should move around. I don't
100%.
think the Scottish Open should be at one place where one bloke's paid a load of money to secure the event.
I agree.
I don't think that's quite the way it should be.
No,
the Scottish Open should tour around. I know certain places haven't got the infrastructure to hold events. That's why they can't have the Open. So I know for a fact that you can't have the Open at Dornoch because it hasn't got the infrastructure. Has Dornoch got the infrastructure for the Scottish Open? I don't know. It's not as if there's 25, 30,000 people a day there, is it?
No, it's smaller. It's
think
15 to 20 at most.
I think the world could probably really do with seeing a tournament at Dornoch. It used to be at Castle Stewart. It was a phenomenal course. In my opinion, you should go back there. There are courses like Nen, which have held the Walker Cup and other events. That they are super.
I like Dundonald. I thought that was a great course.
It's
even though it's newer and it's kind of in the Renaissance vein, but
they're not going to play Turnberry, which is just a crying shame. Yet again, people care more about politics than putting on the best event. I'm not saying if I support Trump or anybody at all. I don't really care.
Matter.
It's not. But I'm just saying
it's about the golf course.
It should be about golf and golf only.
100%.
And there are other courses that really I think it should move around. I don't like it just being sat there. So that's my 2 pence on it.
Yep.
We've got 4 minutes left, and you've got 4 minutes of going on a song and dance about Aberg. Now, I'm going to suppose something. I really like Aberg. I think he's got one of the most beautiful swings in the game. I think if I was training any young player to play like anyone at the moment in the world, I'd train them to play like Ludwig Aberg. I like him. I rate him. I think he's good. Your go.
Look, I'm not debating any of that stuff. I think he's got a good swing. I think that he's a really great ball
swing. He's got
great ball swing. I mean, it depends. Look, we all know golf swings are a little bit subjective. I think it's a little bit robotic, but that's a story for another day. It's like picking a bikini model. Like everybody kind of has their own thing. That being said, we have to start having a conversation about Ludwig and his inability to close some of these golf tournaments. Look, I understand that he's been a pro for a little bit over a year. He's won on the PJ Tour, even though that event really is a Corn Ferry Plus event. Let's just be honest. RSM is not exactly a top tier event. And the Omega European Masters that he won in Switzerland, he kind of had that victory gifted to him by Matthew Fitzpatrick. Let's just be real and call a spade a spade. I think that he has shown, I saw this at Wentworth last year, almost a year ago, where he shot 76 in the final round when he had the lead. He looked really great through 3 rounds, 54 holes. I saw something there that gave me cause for pause, like, oh, wait a minute. This is something I need to file away for and just keep remembering it every time he sort of gets in contention. You start looking at him contending at the Masters. Yes, I totally realized he finished second. It was a great event for him, for sure. He was in contention to win. He made a double bogey on the back 9, hit it in the water on 11. Mental lapse. He had a mental lapse at Wentworth, like I said. Pinehurst, he was starting to get into contention. Made a triple bogey, mental lapse again. This is something that's becoming a trend. I just want people to be on the lookout for this. This is something that, like, if you want him to get from the level that he's at to this, like, global superstar, top 5, 10 player in the world that everybody thinks that he is. I had a very, very detailed conversation with a very high-profile swing instructor who knows golf even better than me. However, I was the one that told him, I was like, yes, I understand everybody think Ludwig is sort of the next coming. I totally get it. However, these are all the reasons why I think he's not quite at the level people are saying that he's at. So I just want to put it out there for people. It's not because I'm a hater. It's not because I don't like him. He's perfectly fine. I don't really know that much about him other than his golf game and what I see in front of me. he also wasn't that great at the Ryder Cup. Like, he was probably a bottom 2 player on the European team, which is a high bar. But it's like, I mean, he was handpicked for that team, and he didn't really contribute that much. He got carried through most of the Ryder Cup. Let's just call it what it is. The strokes gains numbers were very, very low. I just want people to keep this in mind. Every tournament that you see him competing in, what does he do in the final round? What does he do when he starts getting in contention? And there's pressure and there's other great players around him. What does he do? I saw him today at the Scottish Open. 16th hole, he had a great opportunity to get a birdie. Par 5, he's just short of the green in 2. Completely duffs his chip. Makes bogey. He's out of it. Those are the things you can't afford to do when you get to this level. So I just want everybody to keep this in mind. Just know I'm the first one that said this. No one else has been throwing this out there. I think people need to keep this in mind. They're going to make a ton of excuses for him. Oh, pace of play, this and that. This is something everybody needs to keep in mind. So I'm saying it now. I've said it before. I've said it a million times. I've gotten a lot of hate for it. I need to see more from him. That's what it comes down to.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is that for today's show. We will be back and we'll be looking ahead at Troon. And maybe have Red Harrington with us to talk a bit about the course, a bit about the course setup. And as I said many times before, Troon is a world-class golf course. Yes, they are. You've played it. We both played it. It's one of the best golf courses in the world. But I think it's got one good 9 and one excellent 9. That's my problem with it. If you compare
we'll talk more about that.
If you can compare, well, I'm right. If you can compare it to the course 15 miles down the road, there ain't a comparison. Turnberry is a different level. But we know politics matters in the world of weak men, where they have to do these things all the time. They can't just have nice things for nice people because they have to put politics in there to try and get them some power. Oh, I've had enough of life at the minute. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to be back, and we will be back. And my daily golf sermon will come back, and the putting videos will come back. I do promise. But look, I'm having an absolute torrid time-wise at the minute. I'm basically trying to fit 9.5, 10 days of stuff into 7 days. And mathematically, that don't go.
Yeah.
Jay, it's lovely to see you properly. I cannot wait to have you in the UK. It's going to be good fun. And ladies and gentlemen, we will speak to you very shortly. Take care.
Sounds good.